Good evening.
Good evening.
We hope you've had a wonderful day today. We want to remember to always pray for all of our sick and afflicted. And there was a question asked on the internet last night, and I had to jump in on it. This guy had not been saved long, and he asked a question. He said, how many of y'all can affirm or not affirm that prayer works? And it is a crying shame, the number of people that claim they couldn't tell any difference. The only way that can be true is if you have a bunch of lost people trying to pray before they get saved, because it's not popular, and I'm not running for office. The only prayer God will hear from a lost sinner is a prayer for salvation. Then after you get saved, then you've got a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day prayer line to glory. Now, anybody that's been saved any length of time that's in a Bible-believing church knows there's power in prayer.
Amen.
I don't know the number of people over the years that we prayed for and saw God move, but I asked Lisa to come on and get a song because I wanted to share this, and then we'll get right on into the devotion. We pastored for about 7 years in Coldwater, and we were blessed to see many people saved. That was a ministry God put on our heart, and we started from scratch, just like this one. You know, sometimes God sends missionaries and others to start a ministry that can be a blessing, and there was way over 80 people saved during that length of time. That ain't the big numbers you hear of some churches, but most of the ones that got saved stayed and become fine Christian people that the pastor can count on. When you got people that don't want to do things consistent and by faith and they're just sporadic, it's hard to build a church with that. I'm not saying you can't, but if I could have my druthers, it would be that person that's just consistent that you can count on. But let me say this to you. We had a lady that had 2 daughters. And I will never forget, as long as I live, the youngest daughter had so much faith. I believe her name was Brandy. And Beth was a sweetheart too. Yes. But Brandy she just had a glow about her. She was having some issues, and they did test at Children's at UAB and determined that she had a kidney that just gonna have to come out. It was black, it was dead, and there was just nothing else that could be done. Remove it, and she could live a normal life. And back then, we had 3 services minimum a week. But we had our second Sunday service at 3 o'clock. And it was amazing. We had about 95, at least if you remember, about 95% of the ones that come on Sunday morning would come back at 3 o'clock. A lot of them just stayed in town and ate, fellowship, because people used to love the fellowship. I have to go home because I have to study and get ready for the night, but I was blessed. Before it was over, I had 7 preachers in that church, and I used every one of them. Every one of them. Brandy, one Sunday afternoon, got to church a little early, and Brandy met me at the door. That was me, son. Don't do that. I bumped the desk, and he thought somebody was knocking. Hush. Brandy was waiting. And she said, Brother David, I want to be anointed and prayed for. God's going to heal me. And we prayed for her. She went to the doctor that next Tuesday, and they could not find what. They thought she was crazy. If you remember when she walked in, she said, my church prayed for me, my pastor anointed me, but God healed me.
Amen, he did.
He did.
He did.
She never had to have that kidney touched again.
Yep.
There is power in prayer. And prayer is the remedy for what we're about to read tonight. Lisa, in Galatians chapter 5, verse 1, I'm going to give everybody a second to turn to Galatians chapter 5, verse 1. Christians don't want to admit, but sometimes Christians live in bondage.
Yes.
You don't have to. And the first thing you can do, and I want to show you something. We've learned on Monday nights when we have Bible trivia, a lot of times I'll ask a question. And one of the men will smile and be shaking their head. I know that answer. That's the way they. And then when it's their turn to answer, it's not right.
Right.
A lot of you think you're just living so fine and so free. When the truth is, just about every Christian I know is living under some type of bondage. Lisa, would you read Galatians 5 and 1, please? I want that mic to pick you up. They can hear me.
Okay. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage.
Now, let me say this to you. The liberty it's talking about here is the liberty or the freedom that God gives us. Remember the Pledge Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands indivisible? Think about that. With liberty and justice for all. But America's freedom is limited. I mean, people will tell you all day long we're the land of the free. But yet, just a few days ago, a 76-year-old man went to jail for preaching John 3:16. And he's asked, where's my freedom? What happened that I can't go outside my home and tell people that there's a God that loves them? How come I got arrested? How come I got fined? Supposed to be freedom of speech in this country. There's not much freedom of speech. I don't have a lot of confidence in politicians at all. I really don't. I pray for them. There's a lot of things I disagree with current president on. I'll just be honest with you. And some Christians I know act like he's a God, but he's not. But I pray for him. There's a lot of things that he's done to help Christianity, and I appreciate every bit of that. But I got news for you. I had to fill my truck up today, and guess what? It hurt. I'm not a millionaire. Don't want to be. Do you hear me? I don't want to be. Now let me say this to you tonight. Bondage. You got to understand what that word means. And I'm going to ask you to do something I usually don't do. But I'm going to ask you to get a pen and write this down. I'm going to loan you this one because I want you to write it down too. That's a good example. Because Lisa and I didn't talk about this before, did we, honey?
No, we didn't.
I've been in the studio all evening. And it's been a blessing. And I'm not complaining. But I stopped just long enough to get in here. But I got to tell you tonight what this word bondage means. Number one, it means to be trapped. Trapped. To be trapped. are to be enslaved. But notice the third meaning. To be controlled by someone or something. There's only one kind of bondage that's okay in the Bible, and that's if a child of God is totally sold out to Jesus and He's controlling our life 100%. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not the case. Let me show you something. Some people don't realize it, but sports has got them in bondage. There's people here in Alabama just a few weeks back that deserted church on Sunday to go down to a racetrack and watch a race where they was drinking, drugs, illicit sex, and everything you could think of going on. And people want to jump on me for preaching against it. Go on and jump. This old man's been around a while. And maybe I ain't quite as old as you think I am yet. Because I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to tell you with all the love in my heart. How would you feel if you went to the racetrack and Jesus come back?
That's right.
Some people is enslaved and being controlled by baseball and football and all kind of sport. If you don't put sports ahead of God and you don't do and let sports interfere with God's day and you stay away from corrupt, it's okay. I can watch an Alabama game and not sin. But I used to be so engrafted in it that if they lost, I'd be yelling at everybody. That's wrong. And you ask my wife how much better I've got with that. Some men are totally controlled by a woman. And some women are totally controlled by a man. Now, a wife should yoke up with her husband. A husband should yoke up with a wife. But let me tell you where you draw the line there. What you going to do if your husband or your wife comes out with some theory that's against this Bible? Who you going to stand with? Most of the time they stand against the preacher. That's hogwash. My wife clipped my wings a couple of years back, and I will never forget it as long as I live. I kept telling her, and she didn't really mean it negative, but she would tell me 3 or 4 things that was going wrong, and it wasn't nothing good in it. And I'd say, Lisa, you need to be more positive of what comes out of your mouth. Remember, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And lo and behold, I said something I shouldn't say, and she clipped my wings. Now, I could have jumped down her throat, but if I'd have done that, that'd have put me in the boat of a hypocrite. So what I did is I apologized to her, I apologized to God, and asked for forgiveness. That's what people don't want to do no more. You can let somebody go out and catch AIDS because they're sleeping with everybody and their brother, knowing that sex without marriage is sin.
Right.
There'll be somebody to say there ain't nothing wrong with that. There's a lot wrong with it. I'll never throw a name out loud. I'm not going to embarrass nobody, but I've got some people that's wrote me that's hooked on drugs that wants to be set free. And I'm praying for them with all I got. But what they're going to have to do to get rid of them drugs is they're going to have to pray. And they're going to have to believe that just like God delivered the children of Israel out of the Egyptian bondage, that He can bring them out of that bondage of drugs. One man wrote and said, I have no desire to get married. But I got 4 women in my neighborhood I can sleep with anytime I get ready. I said, sir, that's sin. He's literally, Lisa, in bondage to sex. No wonder God wrote about it so much. I've had numerous people. Here's what's sad. Bondage is real. Just like depression is real. Don't judge things you don't know nothing about. Don't do it. Let me tell you what's sad. There's a man writing me from San Diego. The doctor told him, and the thing about it is you don't have to have a doctor to tell you, but a doctor told him he's got COPD from cigarette smoke. That man's wrote me 2 or 3 times, and I've had others do it, and tell me, preacher, I appreciate you talking about how that smoking's wrong because it hurts your testimony, it hurts your body, and oh, I appreciate you, and I'm giving it up. But a year later, you're still doing it because you're in bondage. Where's your faith? All I can tell you is if giving up cigarettes is any worse than giving up the pain medicine I used to be on, God help you. Because I've watched people quit smoking. My dad was a smoker, and buddy, he just laid them down. He began to pray and acknowledge God, and 10 years later he would tell you, when God convicted me of what I was doing, I laid them down and I never touched another one. That's liberty. I didn't say it was easy. Laying drugs down ain't gonna be easy. Not just because you can, sleeping with everybody in the neighborhood. Get right with God and let Him lead you out of bondage. Amen. Same way with pain medicine. Same way with sports. Same way with people that thinks their car needs to go to the riverbank instead of the church on Sunday. Same thing with nicotine. How much faith do you really have? Don't lash out at me because you don't have the faith to be set free. That ain't fair. Don't lash out at your husband or your wife. Because to be set free, you've got to have the faith. Amen. Lord, help me. If I didn't have enough faith to believe Jesus could deliver me. Yeah, when I bit at Oxycontin goodbye, I thought I was going to die. But God was with me every step of the way. Some of you are in bondage tonight. We love you. And I'll never judge you. Man, I got too much to do in my life, Lisa. You know that ain't what we do. No. But when God lays a message on me, I'm going to preach it or teach it. And I hope somebody tonight that's being controlled by something that you know is not good. The Bible said if a man knoweth to do good, do it not to him in sin. Let's quit hurting ourselves. We do enough wrong trying not to do wrong. Or I do. Let's support one another. And folks, I'm going to say this to you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Wednesday night revival. I sure hope you'll be a part. If you're in driving distance of Anniston, come. If not, watch us online. Man, I got something I've never used, and God's burning a hole in me. I hope it'll be a blessing to you. From Lisa and little man, good night, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We love you. And if you'd like us to pray for you, send in your prayer request. Tell them good night. He didn't like what I did.